Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Jarrison. Nice to see you. And who else is there? Is that Dory? Hi, Dory. Nice blue wall. I love that color.
Yeah, this is the Tiffany color.
It's awesome. Ah, how's life?
Good. Excellent. I just started a new school.
You just started a new school. I saw that on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So, how's it going?
It's great. I mean, we are now improving in our COVID situation. So the government is ordering new rules and new law and regulations on letting people relax a little bit more. So I'm hoping to have more classes running. We still have social distancing, strict social distancing law right now, but it will be relaxing soon.
Okay, cool. You're in.
Yes.
Gonna. Oh, I'm not a host. This is so weird.
I'm coming back in 1 minute. I'm going to get something just.
Then a blind eye and decides to take on the King of England. But Anne miscalculates with dreadful consequences. Oh, this was so difficult.
Secrets of the Six Wives is available on DVD. To order, visit shoppbs.org or call 1-800-PLAY-PBS. Also available on iTunes. This program was made possible in part by contributions to the PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
You're watching PBS.
The Queen, she gave up on
Hi, Dory.
You're watching.
Would you mind just muting yourself while we're waiting? Thank you.
What would you like me to say?
If you wouldn't mind just turning off your microphone while we're waiting.
Sure.
Unless we're talking, of course, but just when there's like the background TV noise, it can be pretty distracting.
That's what we should
do.
Thank you.
I'm back. I just needed to get a mask in case someone comes in.
Hey, Anthony. Hi, Anthony. That's a fancy piano. Can't hear you, you're muted.
It works.
It works.
Yep.
Nice. Well,
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a little echo. Yeah, I have to wake up early tomorrow and staying up late tonight, you know. But at least it's something fun instead of like a schedule. Yeah, I don't know, a scheduling meeting.
Folding laundry, that's
Do you guys know each other? Does everyone else? This is Jarrison, he's in Singapore.
I don't know.
He's presenting, and Anthony is in Pittsburgh, also presenting tonight. And Dory, I don't know where you are. Hi. If you can unmute yourself and like tell us where you are living, because I don't know exactly. Hi, Lauren.
Veronica, how's it going?
Good. I'm just gonna text Steven to make sure he's coming. Hold on, guys.
Sounds good.
Veronica, may I know what is the sequence like for?
Oh yes. Yep. The order is we'll do some announcements and then we'll have Anthony go first, and then you can go, Jarrison, after Anthony.
And with that, I say greetings and good evening to everyone. Welcome to the Virtual Dalcroze Meetup number 15. which is crazy. I'm here with my co-host, Veronica Bileski, and we are so pleased to host everyone tonight. Veronica, I'll let you.
Hello, everybody. So happy to see you all. We have a tradition of introducing ourselves in small breakout rooms. And so Stephen is going to send us to groups of 3 or 4 people. And if you could just say your name and where you're from and who you teach.
That's it. Name, where you're from, who do you teach? And we'll
You have
call you
about
back. We'll call
a
you back
minute.
in like 3 minutes. So you have to go
Okay,
fast.
3 minutes.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Hold on, I'm going to see. Oh, there's all the people. I hope you had a chance to meet a couple people and wish you had a little bit more time, which is what we strive for. If I had just a little bit more time with whoever was there. Go for it,
So
Veronica.
I think we're going to start our 5-minute presentations. And we just ask you, we ask people from this community to share a little bit about either an activity that they just recently taught that they want us all to try together, or we ask them to share a reflection about something they've been thinking about or something that they want to workshop with us. And we keep it to 5 minutes so that we can also have lots of time for questions and discussion with these people who shared, and also any other thoughts that you guys want to bring up. So our 2 presenters today are Anthony Molinaro, who is going to present a Halloween activity, because in the United States, in a couple weeks, we have, I think every country has a holiday where children get free candy once a year from the general public. I remember when I lived in Germany in preschool, they would just have a parade and throw candy at children once a year. So in the United States, children go door to door and get free candy that way on Halloween. And so Anthony has a Halloween activity. And then Jerison has a surprise. I don't know what he's talking about, but I'm sure it'll be great. So Anthony, go for it.
Okay, first of all, my internet's been a little buggy, so if I freeze up, just hang tight. Hopefully it'll work its way through to you. So I do, I teach in public school as well as at Carnegie Mellon, and I've, around this time of year, the kids like it. It's topical for them if you do something sort of Halloweenish. Although in my public school, Halloween is sort of a bad word. They don't like it. So I found an activity that that doesn't really, I think it gets the essence of Halloween without being like specifically Halloween. So you can use this for anything. So the way I'll do it is I'm just going to kind of teach the lesson as if I was teaching my class of maybe like 3rd graders. And if you want to follow along, I would love it if you helped me out by giving me something to sort of work with here. So I'd start out the activity with my arms out in front, and maybe I would even call them zombie arms, which I do sometimes. I got my zombie arms, and then I just drop them, and I let them swing a little bit. And I start out a lot of activities with just the raw movement, just to get the essence of an arm swing. And then maybe I'd have them swing along with me, and then maybe a jump. That's going to be some of the movements we'll use. And I'll ask the children, I'll say, can you jump at the same time as me? Can you jump at the same time as me? And then I ask them if they can tell when I was going to jump by anticipating it. It's just sort of and I do that a lot. And then maybe I'll go to a side swing. I'll say, well, how do we do this side swing? And I'll get them to do a little side swing. It's a little different. And maybe I'll have them say, swing, 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 swing. I'll say, sing a little swinging song. Swing, 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 swing. And then I'll say, eventually I'll move them into something maybe where I'll say, now can you do the swing without your arms? So where in your body do you feel the swing if you're not using your arms? And then maybe bring the arms back in and see how that goes. And then I can go to the piano and have them move that. But to get into the sort of the Halloween activity, I'll say, so right here I've got, folks, can you see what I've got here? I've got my giant spoon. Do you see my giant spoon? You see it? Everyone can see it, right? It's a giant spoon, okay? And in front of me, I've got a cauldron, a giant black pot, and it's sitting on a fire, and it's bubbling up a green, glowing liquid. It smells very strange. And I want you to take your giant spoon and I want you to stir the pot with me. And can you get that swing in your body as you stir the pot with me? Yeah, let's see if we can stir together. Good, I like that, stirring. Good, and then maybe I'd move to the piano and we'll try that. Let's do the stirring pot. Then I might say, okay, now what if our pot was a little smaller? Can you imagine our pot was a little smaller? Oh yeah, good. I see Jerrison's got a good small pot. Can you show me a small stir? Who's got a small stir for me? I see Jerrison's. Good, I might continue on with that for a little while. Hey, how about if we had a tiny pot, something like a cup, and you had a tiny spoon? Can you show me how you stir that? Sure, stir your tiny pot. Okay, cool. So that's cool. We can do that. How about if it was an enormous pot, like the largest pot you can imagine? And can we get a huge stir? Right? How does that sound if we do a huge stir? Right, very good. And then I might take them through and I say, hey, which stir is this? And how about this one, great? All right. Go, we're gonna do that one. Let's take them through stirring levels. Then I would add my song, and I'll do the song. I only have a few seconds left, but I'll show you the song. And you guys probably know this song, but I'll do it. I'll go stirring and stirring and stirring the brew. Woo, woo. Stirring and stirring and stirring the brew. Woo, woo. Boom! Right, so they have to scare them at the end. That's the most important part. And then I would say, how about if we did our song with the small pot? Stirring and stirring and stirring the brew. Ooh, ooh. Stirring and stirring and stirring the brew. Ooh, ooh. Boom! But you have to get the boo every time or else they get upset. And then you go with your super small pot. Stirring and stirring and stirring the brew. Ooh, ooh. Stirring and stirring and stirring the brew. Ooh, ooh. Ah! Right? So then you get them to lead it as well. And I'll ask them, you choose. How big do you want your pot to be? We'll follow you. And then they start us off to do it. So that's basically the activity as I do it in a nutshell.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you so much.
Oh, I was about a minute over, sorry.
It's all good. Jerrison, go for it.
All right, so this is a very simple first grade activity. So I will have them walk in the garden, and so let's pretend to walk. So if you are doing online, you can clap instead of walking. Okay. What do you see in the sky? What do you see in the sky? Stars.
Pterodactyl.
Okay, so you can see stars. Can we pick the stars? Let's go. And what do you see in the sky that goes a shooting star?
Rainbow.
A rainbow. Okay, you can say rainbow or a shooting star. So can you show the Nice. Okay, so that's just the sensation of the 3 different rhythms, and then I'll have them look at this. What color is this? Can you say the color? Red.
Red.
Red. Red. Red. And what color is this? Blue. Blue. And what color is this?
Yellow, yellow.
Yellow. Oh, great. So now what I would like you to do is to look at my feet. Can you see? Let's go. Red, 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 blue, blue, red, red, yellow, red, 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 blue, red, red, yellow, yellow, red, red, blue. So they are going to say those rhythm with the red being the quarter note, yellow being 8th note, and then blue being the half note. And then you are going to sing using your voice, not singing first, but using breathage noise to make it. For example, boom, pew, pew, boom, boom, pick, pick, boom, pick, pick, boom, pick, pick, boom, pew, pew. Shall we try that? Ready? And here we go. And then after that, I will have them listen to what I play at the piano. And they have to do that on their, they have to color on a paper with 3 different colors, color pencil, they can draw 3 circles, and then they listen. For example, and they have to point red, 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 blue, blue. Yellow, red, yellow, red, blue, blue. For example, so that's dictation. And I can check their answer from how they point online or live. And then last, we have possibility of improvising a melody. So they will step and sing. So I'm going to just demonstrate. They will sing and step or point if they, so. Da dum ba dee da dum, dee da 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 dee da dum bum bum, bee bum 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 ba ba bum bum bum, ba 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 bum bum bum. For example, so they get to improvise the rhythm with a simple representation of the rhythm from the color, which is very easy. There's not so much to interpret because yellow, 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 red, blue sounds like a rhythm anyway. Okay, did I exit my time?
Thank you so much, Harrison.
Okay, thank you.
Well done.
Just
Thank
a
you so much.
small activity.
Thank you. Excellent.
Really appreciate it. Are there any questions for our presenters or any thoughts that you had or ideas that are connected to some of these ideas? And you can raise your hand or you can type them in the chat.
Alice?
Yeah, I just wonder if you show them the notation when you're doing the red, the yellow, the blue. as well, so that they begin, even though we're not trying to be academic about it, it's just to get them familiar with, you know, the half note is the slow note and or the blue note.
So I do use some representation. Later, I use a score that I will introduce to them, which goes like this. For example, so they go red, 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 yellow, yellow, blue. So I will twist. I'll still use the same color, but I will change the shape of the sign, the symbols, to let them see how it goes, and so it helps them with the size. And later on, I will use a totally different color, and I'll say this, this, and this, and say, could you please match up what seems relevant to you? So without showing them, I let them make the connection themselves.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
Anyone else have any thoughts or things to add to either of these? Swimming.
Yes, I really like the exercise that the first, what's the name of the presenter?
Anthony.
Sorry.
Yes, Anthony.
Anthony, hi. Yeah, just that I like it that he incorporate with the sense of swing, because that a lot of people maybe don't understand the swing in the music. And so it's very important that how you introduce this sense of swing rather than you just go straight into the musical idea. So I very appreciate that you do a lot of how to use the body to forward and backward, and how you prepare the drum, and all this is really preparing you get into this sense of swing, and then you introduce that with a very kind of connect, you know, all the ideas kind of roll together. It's really nice. Thank you. Yeah.
Speaking of that same point, I'm pretty sure, Anthony, didn't you have a moment in there where you said take away the arms and just show the body swaying? And I find that to be critical, absolutely critical. I spend actually an amazing amount of time with university students trying to help them understand the difference between an upper body sway and a lower body sway. And the sway that registers low and heavy, we talk about grounded or in the earth, kind of shifting of weight, as opposed to what I see as a more superficial waving around, to me as a very critical musicianship awareness that we would, and I very much appreciated the grounded version of the sway when you, as you pointed that out. Good.
Yeah, I think that
Jill.
go
ahead, Anthony, and then Jill.
I just try to make everything. I think a lot about the technique of the movement with the kids, and I think it pays off. If they swing properly and musically, then the song will swing properly and musically, and they get it right away. Then the stir becomes a swing instead of just some kind of thing where it's like a circle. You get that energy that I'm looking for here, which is, I think, critical to the whole thing. Otherwise, we're just singing a silly song.
Yep. Super. Jill?
Well, so two things. One is the swaying from a developmental point of view really organizes the body and brings the body into the brain. So neurodynamically, that's really happening and is wonderful. And I loved all your speeds, Anthony. I am a Halloween queen. I do Stirring My Brew every year. And I want to teach you one more little piece where after you go, ooh, then you go tip, toe, tip, toe, tip, toe, boo. So the tiptoes are very exciting. And we go out and scare people who like to scare little children.
Very good. Thank you, Jill.
Oh, you're welcome.
Excellent. Yes, Swimming.
I just want to say, Jason, it's wonderful that you're using the color to match with the rhythm. It's so easy to connect with these two things, and physically also moving with the colors and a few things that really come together, the senses. It's amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, at the beginning when we are doing the stars, I wanted to work more. I would have worked more on the movement of the long note, like shooting stars, and then ping, 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 blinking stars. But of course, because we have no time, so I skipped that to the more analytical color color-coded rhythm. Yeah.
No, it was lovely, Jerison. I'm so pleased you had time to join us. Jerison, are you in Singapore?
Yes.
Very good. And you just opened a new studio, is that right?
Yeah, I'm in my studio now.
Congratulations. If anyone
Thank
has
you.
any pictures, you have to find them. It's a beautiful space. Looks wonderful.
I were going to say, if anyone has kids in Singapore, they should sign up for his classes.
So now we have social distancing, as you can see. The chairs are all more than a meter apart. And this is another side where they have, we have social distancing again. So yeah, this is the studio.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I know you've been working very hard for many years to put that together, so it's outstanding.
I have a quick question. So I also use colors like what Jerison described, and sometimes when kids improvise and they don't know the colors very well, they'll say things like red, 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 blue, red, red, blue, right? And the blue isn't long enough. And I find it's pretty easy to be like, your blue is blue. But sometimes they mix up the reds and the purples and they just start saying red, 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 right? And so I usually just say, well, what you're actually you're making purple sounds and you're calling them red. But that's like a very intellectual answer for a little kid. So I'm just wondering if you have any other ways of encouraging accuracy in this system.
So I actually link it up to the mood, because are you feeling blue? So I'm feeling so blue. And red is right in your face, so red, alert, red. I try to associate that with the colors and the mood or character of the color itself, so they can remember it. And when they say red, they go red, red, red. Red is red alert, and then blue is blue, blue, something like that.
I did a version of that game for years with preschool children. So the youngest of young, my 3-year-olds, and I did it with colored balls in a bag. So I had my bag and the balls were in the bag and they couldn't tell which ball I was about to bring out. And so I'd bring out and we'd say it together. So we'd say red, and I'd put my hand back, red, I bring it out, yellow, bring it back, and then the blue, and I can gesture the blue to help encourage that length. I'm not sure at what age that kind of doesn't hold up anymore, but the littlest of kids, they liked it. You know, it worked very much because they were quite wondering what color is about to come out of the bag. So it was a big surprise, the big reveal. Very good.
Thank you.
Where are we at in our agenda here? I gotta look.
Well, we have some announcements at the end, but we still have a solid 20 minutes to discuss. So if anyone has ideas or thoughts to share, Francoise, and then Chris, and then we'll go back to Alice again.
Yes, I'm just thinking now, I wonder whether all those associations of color, rhythm of the words, and the different meters, if sometimes our associations are not maybe too much for the children who learn. I'm just wondering, I have not a clear answer to that, but I'm just thinking that the duration, because if you say red is like this, but sometimes in the music, you can have quarter notes which are very soft and very subtle, you know, so it's not necessarily about an emotion or an intensity or about even a color. I don't know, but I understand that the words and the yellow and all that helps. I can understand that to a certain point. But I wonder sometimes if we don't have the tendency to put many, many ideas and concepts and associations to things which maybe could be heard or could be felt in a simpler way. I'm just asking the question, you know, myself and you too.
Can we brainstorm for just a moment about what would be a simpler way? So I know that Francoise is not in any way being critical. She said it very clearly, just questioning, you know, are there other ways? And there is, I don't know if you saw, I should look up, I'll have to find it. I've seen this same type of statistic more than once, but just again here in the last week or two, there was another article that I bumped into that said students' reading abilities, learning to read is slowed down the more busy their environment is. And so like, you know, there are too many stickers on the wall, too many things flying at them all at once. It's hard to know what to pay attention to. And there was sort of an argument for simplifying the classroom, simplifying the visual sphere. And I think if I understand Francois' point, it's similar in that there are many things we could be paying attention to in a lesson like my ball exercise. And is it the color that you want me to pay attention to? Is it the syllables of the word that you want me to pay attention to? Are we trying to make a parallel between this certain actual hue and this certain musical idea? And are we, as the teacher, am I as the teacher trying to, you know, claim that there's some connection between brighter hues and certain kinds of musical moods or musical sounds, and which all could be, you know, quite confusing until somebody figures out, oh, you don't want me to actually look at the color, you want me to listen to the syllable. You don't want me to listen to the color, you want me to just follow your modeling. So what would be a simpler way that we might get at some of those same ideas? Anthony?
Well, I mean, I also use red, yellows, and blues, but I think of them more as like a transition into literacy. So I would only do it after I have done a lot of work, maybe an entire year of work on just being able to properly hear and respond to those different levels of the beat, right? So being able to hear that this is a little walk, and I can do a lot of different kinds of walks. We can have a very smooth walk, or we can have a aggressive walk, or whatever we're doing, but that they're just responding and reacting and recognizing how they need to move to the music properly with the right technique. And then the reds, yellows, and blues make a little bit of sense as a way to get it onto some kind of language that we can speak, that we can write, that we can manipulate in a certain way. So it's a nice to have that language, because it's a language they're more familiar with than if you just go ahead and draw a quarter note on the board. That doesn't have like, association for them right away. But so I use red, yellows, and blues, but only after I've done quite a bit of work on just embodiment of those different beat levels in different contexts.
Very good. Other ideas? Jill?
If we're doing fruit, like instead of Halloween, sometimes I just do harvest and celebration of, you know, that time of year. So I'll just say what kind of fruit, and, you know, that makes one sound. So they'll come up with plum. So they made it up. They like it. Then I say, how about two sounds? You know, what would say that? And what would you say? So we have plum. What two sounds on a fruit, you guys?
Apple. Cherry.
Apple, right?
Apple.
So plum, apple, and then what
Blueberry.
would be? And what?
Blueberry.
Oh, blueberry. Yeah. So there you going into a triplet on me. But yeah, so if they name it, they own it. And then we just get into loud and soft. And that just conflicts. Don't you guys do ta and titis?
Not everyone.
Yeah, whenever I bring up my stuff, they always come back to the ta and titi. I'm like, well, that's what you do, but let's do something else. So I've never done the colors, but when you want it to be longer, I just add an ooh. So blue, ooh. And we talk about the Doppler effect of blue, the car going by. There's all sorts of, and I think those engagements with their voice from a developmental point of view, again, really connects their brain to what they're doing. And then if you add the movement, it really helps.
Very nice. Alice?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd like to thank Jarrison, both of you. Using colors, I find, just is attractive to children. So the more ways you can find of, getting them to focus. So, I mean, I do that as well. Here's a blue, but just to doing this, I often say, it's in Virginia Hodge Mead's book, as the Halloween game, where they're in a haunted house, and so they're creeping along. So they have to walk very carefully, and they creep, and then they hear a knock at the door. And so however many times they want to knock, and then they are afraid of the ghost, so they scamper away, and that's their running notes. And at the very end, just like you said, after however many steps, say 8 running steps, they go boo, and they get very excited about that. So I think it's a great idea. I'm going to use your color coding scheme. I think that's very easy to remember, and for instance, for the blues, that works. So I think it's all good. The more variety we can bring into teaching every concept, the better. So I like all the ways that you did that. That was really helpful. And I do encourage people, if you have that book by Virginia Hodge Mead, I wrote Home Mead for some reason, Virginia Hodge Mead, Dalcroze in the Classroom, it's a Halloween game that she puts in there, and the children love it, and you can teach them the notations afterwards if that's something that you'd like to do.
Very good. Thank you, Alice. Marlene, and then Jarrison.
Hello, everyone. I'm working totally virtually. I have kindergartners through 5th graders. So most kids are very confined. I will have them draw a box, and then they make the colors. And I always stress that musicians need to wake up fingers. So it depends on where my kids are. We might have spent 10 minutes on reviewing the numbers. We might number our fingers. 1, we make a hand sandwich, finger 1, 2, 3, 4, and maybe we'll do a little dance. And I have my keyboard right here, if you can see it. I play, and they we'll do my turn, your turn. I'll do red, red, yellow, blue, and we'll decide on a finger, and they'll go red, red, yellow, blue. And I can see them in rhythm, and it's very, very effective. But they've made their own box, so they're involved. It's very personal, and it's in a very small space, and no one's falling off beds or anything like that. And just an idea that comes up with colors.
That's really nice. Veronica and I were talking earlier today, and that it seems as though the VDM's unofficial slogan has become what is possible. And so thinking about Marlene's little box, which I haven't seen before, but it seems perfectly reasonable. And I think we could also, I would think that everybody here could think of ways that you would maybe not do the exact box, or actually ways that you would do the exact box, and then what would be the next 20 versions of that. And then someone else would say, well, I wouldn't do it in a box, but I'd do it in a line, or I wouldn't do it with colors, but I'd do it with these symbols, or I wouldn't do it, in squares, but I would do it with this. And each of us finding ways to think, oh yeah, I saw what Marlene did back at the VDM, and that was possible. It was super clear as a way that in this teeny little Zoom box with our students all remote, there might be a way that I could use something like that as the basis for the beginning of an idea. I just love those sorts of connections.
Yeah. And you can also put in the different music elements. You can play very soft music, and they're supposed to be very delicate. And then you can play very strong, have very strong fingers. So you really can go any place.
Yeah, and we saw both of those sorts of attention to nuance in both what Anthony and Jarrison showed, which I really think of as a hallmark of the Dalcroze sort of handbook here, is that it's never just the one way, but always looking for ways to to bring in that sort of musical qualities. Jarrison, you had a hand up?
Yeah, actually, I totally agree with what Francoise has brought up, because I think this is a a problem that we all face, because when we try to teach rhythm following one character, the children will then not be able to transfer the same knowledge when the music changes feeling or emotion. So I was just thinking along the line, if we can actually have different association, and throughout a series of lessons, if we are teaching these 3 rhythm of quarter, 8, and half note, we can actually associate to different things, so we don't let the children depend on this attachment. So because if we, for example, in Asia, we use a lot of fruits, perhaps also in everywhere else, but we use, for example, banana, pear, apple. And when children don't use these words, they cannot articulate the rhythm anymore. So they become so dependent on it. So I was thinking, if perhaps we can change it every single time, and then, well, not so often, but after they integrate this blue, yellow, and red, and then change to another one with a different emotion, different feeling, but link them so that they see that, oh, red is related to pear, for example, then they have a different sensation of the same rhythm. Perhaps that will help.
Yep. Yeah, I think very often that kind of answer has to do with, there's maybe a way that you introduce the concept, but then looking for all the ways to get out of that one modality and try to show it in all its different variations, including all of its different musical nuances is really the key. Rebecca, did I see a hand from you?
Yes, I was just adding on to what Jerison was saying, and Stephen, you said it too. We could we make sure that we use all the different modalities of learning too, and what it is that we're doing. So instead of just seeing something visual and saying a word for it, we help them make up a gesture for it, or to be able to use the oral learning and the visual learning and the kinesthetic learning that Dalcroze is so great at combining, and let them give us ideas about, this time we're going to do a gesture, or what if you combine them, you do a gesture and then you do a word or something like that, so that they get the integration of all the different learning modalities with it. Because you may lose some of the kids if you only do a color or you only do a word.
Yep, very good. There's a conversation going on in the chat. I don't know if you're all looking. This is a kind of a perennial conversation. It pops up, pretty much all the time. Although we haven't really discussed it much at the VDM, but in the Dalcroze circles for as long as I can remember, not Alice. I'm sorry, I lost it. Pan says, I noticed that older kids. I noticed that the older kids stiff in movement and less likely to want to move. Is there any way to help them be less stiff or shy? And so I know that there's many people here just tonight who have experience with this. I could talk as well, but maybe we'll let some other people offer up ideas for how do you get your older kids or any kids. And I'll just add that older kids could mean 6th graders, but it also could mean college students. It also could mean senior citizens. It also could mean anybody who just thinks they're a little too much for whatever's going on in the room. And so how do you break down some of those inhibition walls and help people feel safe enough to be able to be playful? So we want to talk about this one for just a moment. Does anybody, Pan, do you want to tell us what age are your older kids? I'm trying to find where Pan is. Oh, there you are. All right, maybe we'll, then would anyone like to just discuss a little bit of who are your
10 to
older?
12 in the chat.
Oh, there it is. Sorry, thank you. So age 10 to 12. So anyone have any thoughts of things that you might want to offer up as ways that those barriers are overcome easily? Jill and then Rebecca.
I think what Anthony was doing is very, very good start. Just getting them to bend their knees and then swinging with different parts. Now take that part and go to the corner, lead with that part, lead with your shoulder, lead with your elbow. Doing movement for movement's sake. And then you can add I mean, I'm a dancer, so I come at Dalcroze from the opposite side. So you just add the dynamics and you add the rhythms after they've explored openly. I loved your warm up was so full, Anthony, even though it was like 2 seconds. There's so much that could be done. So just letting them, guiding them, they don't know how to move. We can't leave movement to chance anymore. Kids are sitting on their butts, assuming the slump of using the devices, I call it, and getting them up and moving is really hard. So giving them suggestions about how to move, just move one part or imagine a part moving, now move it. There's so many ways to encourage their movement. They love moving, and that's when they really feel who they are.
It's very good. Rebecca?
So there were 2 ideas that I have. The one is to use the movement dynamics, the Laban movement dynamics that Swimming was talking about, to make them in combinations and let everybody to be able to figure out fast and slow, time, space, and energy, to be able to use those in combination and explore their own movement using that, which goes also with what Jill is saying, because it gives them some ideas. But also children at that age and people in general may not want to work together, or it's difficult for them. So if you use manipulatives, like racquetballs are awesome. They can be sterilized, which is great. They're better than tennis balls. You can use ties, silk ties. You could use any kind of a manipulative that you have where you can say, move this thing through space, then they're not personally moving. And then you can say, okay, now pretend like you have the thing that you're moving through space, and you'll notice now they can open up their movement a little bit better when they're doing it. And that's easier when you're together, of course, because you have the manipulatives, but you can brainstorm with them about things that they have, or you can imagine, what if you have a rubber band, or if you have a piece of string and there's a piece of string in your hand and you're pulling the piece of string out, and then make a noise that piece of string would make when it pulled out. So their focus is on not their own bodies, but something else that they're moving. Does that make sense?
Yep. Yeah, those are time tested. So to use, whether you call them manipulatives or props or materials, however, whichever school vocabulary you use, the balls and the sticks and the scarves and really, I've always found that they really do exactly what Rebecca's suggesting, is that they give people something to focus on, so they might be a little less self-conscious and just be willing to manipulate the thing, which of course encourages them to move. I'll just add that the other thing that I thought Anthony did so beautifully was he jumped in fully with no hesitation. And so we didn't get any sense that he was hesitant to stir the pot. Instead, he very readily moved in. And I have found that sort of the more assuming that I am, that is to say, the more that I'm just like, no, of course we're going to move. We're moving, we're doing this today. Then it's harder for anyone to sort of battle against that. Whereas if I appear hesitant or apologetic, or if I let it known a little too much that I'm too worried that they're going to rebel, then that's oftentimes more than enough excuse for them to actually rebel.
I also would like to say, I was really into the spoon. Like when you were like, do you see my spoon? I was like, no, I don't see it. Oh, I see it. I think there was like something like very silly, but like kind of funny about the fact that you were so serious about that giant spoon,
Very good. So maybe we have like a good almost 5 more minutes before we're going to get some announcements here at the end. So anybody have any other things that either you want to talk about tonight or you want to suggest for a future meetup? We've got some nice announcements to share with you at the end. There's all sorts of stuff going on. Anybody else? Chris Rose, it's nice to see you.
Hey everybody, it's so great to see everybody here. I just wanted to add to everything that's been said. It's so wonderful. But the elephant in the room for me is that my most treasured Dalcroze classes with, let's say, the master teachers, it always seemed like their piano playing motivated all of my treasured movements. All the things that I thought I was exploring came from their playing. So when I go into my classroom, I want to motivate movement from the piano. I want to be the piano hero. And the corner that painted me into is sometimes I pull it off, and sometimes I can't even get them to explore because I've already boxed them into this prescriptive quality where what they move always has to go with the music. So I love what Anthony said about raw movement, because it takes me off the hook for a second with the stupid piano hang up, and it just lets them move for its own sake, like Jill said. So maybe just, if anyone can relate to that, you want to be your own piano hero, and your hang up about the instrument and being the greatest improviser ever is actually maybe getting in the way. Anyone have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that like the physical sensation to me is the thing. And so like when they move without the piano, they're experiencing music to me, you know, with that movement. They don't need the piano. If they're moving musically, I can see, yes, they're feeling the music in their own way inside their body. And then I actually like to follow them. So when you set it up with the movement, I like to sit at the piano and watch them and say, I tried to do it with Jerison a little bit. It's harder online. But I saw him doing it, and I was watching him, and I was like trying to get into his little stirring groove, you know? And like, that's like, you know, I think that's the cooler way to do it for me. It's like, let me see if I can get them to be expressive and move on, and then see how the piano might fit in with that.
Super nice. Love that all.
I think Lauren was going to jump in on that too.
Yeah, it was something similar to what Chris started to say, I think, but I don't know, maybe I was thinking about it slightly differently, but that we can come from a movement point to music, and we can also come from a musical point to movement, and those things do, you know, they respond to each other. But I think if you want someone to move to anything, the music has to be compelling. It has to be. It has to be like irresistible that you want to move to it. And it can work the other way too, going from movement to music. And that's why I loved how we were talking about Anthony modeling and Jerison modeling, that they don't just say, oh, we're going to do this. It's let's do this. And it becomes irresistible. And I think the more that you become that thing, your body is the instrument, it becomes irresistible, right? Now, that being said, I know middle schoolers, and I know some, you know, won't take that answer. And so one other thing I wanted to offer is I find it works very well to make it kind of like a video game. So you have different levels, and you let them know you're at level 1. Are you ready for level 2? All right, challenge accepted. Level 2. Nice, you made it to level 3. And it becomes more of a game than, oh, I'm moving to this music and we're talking about music. It's a game. It's a game. The music is the game.
Great. Very nice. We love all of those.
I will second the thing about the video game.
Yep.
It's the levels, oh my gosh, they're just like, they beg me to play a game from last year that they remember because they want to get to level 5.
Jill, I saw a hand, and then we're almost up to announcements.
I forgot what I was going to say because I started thinking when you play those level games, it's sort of in the competition then comes in. And is
but
that
it's competition with themselves.
Exactly. Is that what's compelling? You got me off what I was going to say. Sorry. If I remember, I'm sure it was brilliant. I'll tell you.
Sounds
I know what it was. I know what it was. Anthony's jumping, that anticipatory, can you jump with me? That is, if you haven't done that with people, it's such fun and it's magical. And it's a great lesson in teaching them how to be good leaders if you ever break into partners.
Yeah.
Anticipating. That anticipation is so magic. Sorry.
Nothing to be sorry about. It was outstanding. And Jill, I'll take an issue with one of the things you said a couple minutes ago, where you said you come at it from the opposite side, where, you know, rather from music side, but from the movement side. I think I'm not ready to agree with that statement that they're opposites.
I don't see them as opposite at all. They're the same thing to me.
Yeah, I would agree that it's all the same.
Speaking to Dalcrozians, you know, it's like, It is the same. They are the same. And that's what the whole Laban thing is they have everything in it. Music is movement. Where are they different?
Yeah, no, I think we're all in agreement here on that point. So nice. We're at 5 minutes till, and we work really hard every time we meet up to honor everybody's time and not let things run over. We try to start on time and end on time. And we have a couple pretty exciting things going on in the community. I believe the first that we just wanted to mention is the new podcast. Is that?
Yeah, Anthony and Lauren, please tell us about this cool new thing in the Dalcroze land.
Well, yeah, so Lauren, my good friend Lauren Hodson, and I started a podcast called The New Dalcrozian. It is, maybe some of you have seen, that flying around social media. And it's just a little place to have our conversations, our Dalcroze-centric conversations. And we've try to have teaching demonstrations in every episode as well. And so we've had 2 episodes so far, and people have been into it. Lauren, do you have any comments about your experience so far in the New Dalcrozian?
No, it's just been fun to have conversations together and to get to know some of our teachers around the world and what they're doing in a little bit more detail. So speaking with Manuel and Chengfeng and Veronica, we got to speak with her, and Michael Joviala. So it's been fun to have a little bit deeper conversations and let all of you listen to them and think about them. And if you listen to it and you want to email us, we will read your email on the podcast. So yeah, you can check it out. Thank you, Ellen.
And it's pretty exciting. I think you're claiming to be the only Dalcroze podcast, or the first Dalcroze podcast.
The first and only, I believe. If someone can find me another one that is centered on Dalcroze, then I will stop saying the only, but I believe we're the first.
I mean, go for it. Just take that trophy.
I'm taking it. It's available anywhere you can find a podcast. If you just Google the New Dalcrozian or put it on put it in your whatever app, it's on all the apps. We can put all the links up to it here on Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, or whatever. And just subscribe to it. And every time a new one comes up, it'll come up in your podcast feed if you're not used to it. And I am coveting some guests who are here. So Lisa Parker, I'm stalking you. Guests on the podcast. See, there's many. So, we were hoping to have, have it be a great piece of content for people to kind of, maybe people who aren't familiar with the work to be exposed to it, and also for all of us to just kind of enjoy enriching our own sort of path through the practice. So please listen to the podcast and send us an email and follow as it progresses. We've only had 2 episodes, so we're just getting started.
No, they're off to such a great start. I've thoroughly enjoyed both episodes. So thank you. Thank you. When's the next one going to be released?
Well, we're working on the next one. We have an interview this week, and so I don't want to let too much out of the bag, but we're looking to try to get out 2 a month. It would be my goal.
Wow.
But I'm not going to try to hold like a really tight schedule because it's like, life is difficult. But if we can do 2 a month, that like first of the month, in the middle of the month, something like that, I would feel great about it. How do you think, Lauren? Is that too much?
We'll see.
Very good.
Cool. So moving on, Lauren sent us this interesting document from the National Association for Music Education. I'm posting it in the chat right now. And it's like a 10-page guide to teaching virtually for early childhood. So it's kind of similar to what we've all been discussing, since March. But if you just want to kind of read another organization's take, you can do that. Francoise, we'd love to hear about your new project. I sent out the announcement today to the list, but if you could share with us.
Yes. I started making an audio library of Dalcroze exercises. I have been improvising something like 90 exercises, and because I have a recording studio at home, so I'm very lucky. And with Chengfeng and Lisa Parker, we found ideas to write down like a pedagogical guide which goes with those with those improvisations. And there are improvisations on all, I mean, not all, but lots of music topics, you know, music elements, metric, rhythm, whatever, phrasing, pulsation, and so on and so on. And it was aimed at the beginning at music teachers who did Dalcroze courses with me, and they said, well, could we record you? And I said, well, I'll do it in my studio, and that's what I did. So for music teachers who are not Dalcrozian and who still want to have their students move by learning music, I thought it would be a good idea. And it's also aimed at people, student Dalcrozians, who just want to have a little bit of an inspiration for their own improvising, their own improvisation. There are also, in the pedagogical guide, there are also improv exercises that you can do. And the first volume is now released, and the other volumes, and there are 10 pieces, 10 improvs in one volume. So there are going to be maybe 8 or 9 other volumes following later.
And you missed Francoise's presentation. She presented at one of the recent meetups, I think either 13 or 14. So if you go to the video archives page, you can hear her talk in more detail about this. And then Francoise, if you just wouldn't mind pasting the link to your project in the chat so people can see it.
Yes, I'm going to put it in the chat.
Perfect.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you. And then our last announcement is that we
Next
could use
to
a
last.
little.
We'll have one more.
Okay, next to last. We could just use a little bit more help organizing the resources. So the way like Lauren sent us this resource, and we have a lot of links that people sent us back in March and April. And so we've had some people working on that, but we just need a little bit more volunteer help. So if you have an organizing brain and like putting things into categories and that makes you happy, we'd love your help if you can spare maybe an hour or something like that. So just send us an email.
Thank you all so much for helping us organize those resources. We think we have a platform. We just, like Veronica said, we just are hoping for someone to just take a critical eye and sort of put them in the right categories and say this one belongs. And actually, this wasn't a very good link at all, but I found a better one that does the same thing, that kind of stuff. And then I think maybe lastly, unless Veronica thinks of one more thing, we're already 3 minutes over, but we want to make sure that everybody remembers to sign up for masterclasses. Our next masterclass is with Louise Mathieu. And if you haven't worked with her before, she is amazing. She's so smart. She's so musical. And she really brings just a wealth of...
Say when it is.
I'm sorry?
Say when it is, exactly.
Veronica's going to look while I talk. It's coming up really soon.
It is on October 24th if you live in North America or in the Americas or Europe or Africa. And if you live in Asia or Australia, it's on October 25th. But it's like in the middle of the night for those people. So they might be watching the recording.
Yeah, by all means, go to the VDM website, virtualdalcroze.org. Click on masterclasses. You can see the lowdown of all the exact times for your time zone of when it is. And then there are 2 more after that this season. Eldenelli Trevino from Mexico will be next up. And then Andrew Davidson from England will be the last one in December. So we've very end of October, and then something in November, and then there's something in the beginning of December. So if you haven't signed up for those, or if you missed any of the prior masterclasses, you can still register to view to get the 30-day pass to view those videos. And with that, Veronica, are we all good?
Have a lovely evening or have a lovely rest of the day. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Thanks for coming. Thanks to our presenters.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, our presenters.